Today is May 23rd of 2024, and I'm finally committing to making a drone. I've wanted to make one for a while now because they fly around and I think that's kind of cool. So just yesterday, I started researching on how you make one, and it is way more than I expected. But luckily, with the help of YouTube and random websites online, I was able to find pretty much what I needed to make it happen. And yeah, I already have all the parts that I need for the drone picked out. So now we're just waiting for them to be shipped here and I can start the build. Okay, so today is June 10th and everything that I ordered for the drone is finally here. Now we can start unboxing just to make sure there's nothing that I missed. First, we can start with whatever this is because I really don't remember. Okay, yeah, so this is the SpeedyBee flight controller and ESC. Next, we'll open up this little yellow one. Okay, so yes, these are the motors for the drone. I guess this is what the brand is. I mean, I'll probably put a link or a picture in the video. Hopefully they work because I got them on AliExpress and that's my first time ever using them. Okay, so now this is the controller, like the actual controller, not the flight controller that I got, the BETAFPV. I hope this works. The only reason I got it is because it's ELRS compatible, which is like the way it communicates with the receiver, I think. I actually forgot that I had this boom mic thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it out so I don't have to keep like holding it and also do the unboxing. It's kind of awkward. This is like Christmas. This is really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna actually scoot this box over so you can see what I'm doing. I'll just grab it out of the side over here. Perfect. It's kind of like a cluttered space, but I'll deal with it. Okay, so this is my Lipo battery charger, and right here, okay, these are another side item. These are just wires. I would assume they're propellers because it's really light and it sounds like there's propellers in there. Hopefully I don't have to get different ones. Okay, so right here are the batteries. I got 2 batteries. I'll go over the specs later in the video. Okay, and the last thing in the package is what is this? This receiver from RadioMaster. That's everything in the box. And besides all these parts that I purchased, the last part that I actually need is a frame or a hole for the drone. My plan for the frame is to 3D print it, and I can go about that 2 different ways. I can either design my own and put a bunch of time into it and make something that I'm really proud of, or I can download one online and save myself a lot of time. And I think I am gonna go with the second option. Okay, so it's a week later and I clearly went with the first option. I tried importing the files from online so I didn't have to spend a bunch of time making my own, but the proportions were off when they were loaded into my slicing software, and I feel like it would have been harder and less worth it trying to figure out how to fix that rather than just making my own design. It's slightly bigger than I had hoped, but it kind of has to be because the propellers I got were 6-inch propellers, so I have to deal with it. Hopefully the weight is not too heavy. I don't think it is, but I guess we'll see when I try to get this thing in the air. So now that I finished the frame, there's 2 things left for me to do. First, I need to solder all my parts together and assemble the drone. Because 2, I need to go into the flight software, which I'm using BetaFlight. I'm not sure if I mentioned that previously in the video, but I'm going into BetaFlight and I need to configure all my parts together. I took a look at BetaFlight and it's a little bit confusing, but I'm sure sooner or later I'll figure it out. Sadly, I will not be showing much of the soldering on camera because the way I record these videos is with my phone, and my phone camera just isn't good enough to pick up these small details and then upload them to my computer. If you have more questions on how I'm exactly putting this drone together, I can send you over to other videos which have helped me, or I can answer your questions in the comments if they're simple enough for me to just answer with words. Okay, so I just went ahead and added all my screws in on my arms where I'm gonna put my motors. I ran into one issue to where, if you could see there, my arm cracked. I'm probably just gonna leave it until it breaks. For now, it really doesn't pose any sort of issues. I just got all of the motors on. Now I need to put on the little stack, which is the ESC and the flight controller. Yep, that sounds right. Also, I decided I'm gonna bump music while I'm doing this because I've been sitting here in silence for probably an hour and it's kind of depressing. Okay, so I went ahead and put on the electronic speed controller. Now I need to actually solder stuff to it. Then the drone is pretty much done because I already did put the receiver onto the flight controller. Actually, I told myself I would stop at 9:30 because I work in the morning. It's 9:28 right now, so I probably shouldn't turn the solder iron on or I'll be here for another hour. So I know that I said I would check in at certain points in the soldering process, but truth be told, I'm horrible at soldering and I just had to do it away from the distraction of trying to record myself. But not to worry, I did finish the soldering of what just fell off. I soldered together the flight controller, or no, I'm sorry, this is the ESC. Now all that's left to do is put the flight controller on top of the stack, and then I already soldered the receiver onto the flight controller, so I just need to attach that onto the actual drone frame. So I just put on the flight controller and the receiver. I will say I don't really like the position that the receiver is coming out in. I think if I do remake this drone, I'm going to change the frame or make it longer just to have more room. I just didn't properly take into account how large the flight controller and ESC were. This is it with the flight controller placed on top of the stack along with the receiver fastened down with the zip tie. And then I looped down through the antennas through the bottom of the frame just because in my head, like if I'm flying a drone that's above me, it's probably good to have the antennas there. It's also just a little bit more slick than it just being jumbled up on there. But yeah, that's it so far. Pretty cool. Okay, so I'm about to plug in the flight controller to my computer to test out Betaflight, and one of two things can happen. Either it connects and it works fine, or it's shorted somewhere in my connections and it burns it up and I have to buy a new one. Let's just hope that it's not the second, because I will be very upset. Okay, so right here on my laptop, I actually have Betaflight open and my drone is connecting properly, which is the greatest news ever. But I really don't know how to use Betaflight, and it's something I should figure out before I start toying with it and sitting here at my desk recording it. So this video is gonna cut to when I actually know what I'm doing on Betaflight. Okay, so I've been grinding out Betaflight, trying to figure all this out. I didn't realize how confusing it would be. Just now getting to the point where I'm checking to see if my motors are running properly and I have to plug the battery in. If you're using Betaflight, it tells you everywhere not to do all of these configurations with the propellers on, so listen to them. Okay, we're about to see if the motors work. This motor right here is the motor 1. Wait, why is that fire? You could hear that too. That sounds so loud. Okay, that's great. I can just do master and I can spin all of them at once. 3, 2. Oh, I missed it. That is so cool. Okay, that's great news. Okay, so I think the drone is flight ready. I've been sitting in Betaflight configuring the motors for hours. I don't know what else to do besides fly it and see if it works. So right behind me on my bed, I have a little setup. See if you could see it. Oh yeah, that's the drone. I guess I'll show you closer up. This is what it came out to look like, which, I mean, it looks really cool. Kind of large, so hopefully it's not too heavy to fly. I also just noticed that my screws were not all the way screwed in. Okay, so I'm back. I had to go charge my battery and my controller because both of them were dead after tinkering with them all day. But now I should be good to try flying it. I got both of my parents in here watching. Controller's connected, so now it's actually gonna fly. I'm gonna set my mic down. Okay, so I tightened down the propeller and we also put a harder surface down just so it doesn't get caught in the blanket. And we're gonna try flying one more time. I almost forgot to grab the pillow. Okay. Okay, so that's the most that I'm gonna do in here because I'm scared it's gonna hit me and I'm only 2 feet away from it. Since my battery's charging, I think tonight I'm gonna call it a night and do no more flying, especially not in my room. It's probably not very safe. But I'm just gonna go ahead and take this time to talk about my difficulties and my enjoyments that I found in the process of me making this drone. And I think I must say the hardest part about this drone build, oh wait. Now that I think about it, there's 2 very hard parts, but one of them is not universal to everyone who's making a drone. I just struggled a lot with it, and it was when I was printing my 3D prints. One, the supports on my prints just did not come off. I would sit at the counter with a cup of hot water and 20 different types of tools prying off and drilling through to get supports out. And by the end of it, I had cuts all over my fingers. I still have cuts now on my fingers trying to do it. And I think that was realistically the most difficult part about this drone build for me, because even though certain things on the computer that I'm about to talk about were very difficult, they were difficult in like the mentally draining sense, but the stuff I was doing on the counter with all those 3D prints was mentally draining, physically draining, and emotionally draining. Like when I took 5 hours to print something because this printer is not very fast and it didn't print right, like it failed, oh my goodness, I wanted to cry. But for a more universal problem that many people might have, I gotta say the most difficult part was understanding how to use Betaflight or troubleshooting certain problems that I was running into while configuring the drone. Luckily, there's so many very helpful YouTube videos, articles on the web, and by articles on the web, I mean Oscar Leong's extensive library of everything about drones. And I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, just going off of memory. I will correct it, like put the corrected name in the top corner. I'll go ahead and link it in the description as well. He has published amazing works of art explaining to me what I was doing wrong with my drone. He's the reason I understood how to use my RadioMaster receiver. He was the reason I knew how to connect my controller to the receiver. He was the reason I figured out why my motors weren't working with the props off. He really is just an all-around great guy. Other than that, I'm going to link in the description YouTube videos that I found really helpful in my process. And the last thing that I'm going to add over the entire build is that whatever problem you're running into, someone else somewhere ran into a very similar, if not the same problem. So I think the most important skill when it comes to anything like this, anything engineering, anything really for any hobby, learn how to ask Google. Again, if you are stuck on any part in the drone process, comment it down below and I'll send you over to articles or to YouTube videos that helped me. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to say for this build. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sorry that I couldn't post other YouTube videos. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video. I'm sorry that I couldn't post other videos. I really got tunnel vision. It's something I need to work on, because there's other videos that I could have made while I was doing this. It didn't have to regard the drone, but there's other things that I could have stepped in my way to do that really wouldn't have gotten in the way of this drone. So in the future, I'm going to work on not having as much tunnel vision, and hopefully I can pump out more videos for y'all to enjoy. But next time you see me, I'm going to be whipping a drone, hopefully tomorrow in daylight. Okay, so I did bring the drone outside today, but my intention was not to crash it and break a propeller on the first go. I intended to have some really cool clips of me flying it around to throw at the end of the video as a reward for getting to the end of it. But a propeller will not come in for probably another week, and I don't want to have to wait that long before I can upload this video. At least in the clip, it flew a little bit, which was pretty cool. I did realize how hard it is to fly one of these drones. Now I know for future reference when I post future videos on me modifying this drone or making other drones. There is the broken propeller. You see how they have two sides except for that one? I think what happened is when the drone kind of bounced off the ground, the momentum ripped the battery off and the propeller hit the battery, causing it to snap. That just tells me that I need to make a battery strap, which I wanted to do, I was just lazy. Luckily, nothing broke too bad. It was just a propeller. Everything else still works, I think. I didn't really try it afterwards because it doesn't have a propeller, so it doesn't fly. Anyways, thank you for watching if you made it this far. I really enjoyed this video, and I'm going to be trying to post more often. I didn't mean for it to be this long before I got another video out, but I'm going to keep trying to make cool videos like this one where I'm working on projects, as well as other videos that are less time consuming. But yeah, I think that's all for this video, so have a wonderful day, and as always, stay curious.